So I have an indigo Prismacolor here to do the demonstration. I'm going to start off, I'm going to hold it in the middle or as far back as I can. That way I will have less pressure on the pencil no matter what. And I'm just barely going to touch the paper. If you have a lighter color like a cream, you probably aren't even going to see this. Now I'm not going to go darker as I go down this line. Reason why is because I'm getting layers of color pencil. This would be what you would consider your first layer. I'm using the side of my pencil, and I'll show you another technique that I use that I also like. My next layer would be a number 1 or the weight of the pencil. It's going to be just a slight bit harder. My hand is still far back on the pencil. You can do this with your hand closer to the lead or the core of the pencil, but you just have to be really careful. It's just easier to have your hand back because you're able to not even apply hardly any pressure. It just won't let you. Then we're on to number 2. That would be a light pressure. You're trying to have this, not a gradient, but all the same, all the way across. You can see I'm sitting on top, if the camera is close enough, really sitting on top of the grooves of this paper right now. Now I'm going to go to 3, which would be a modest pressure. I'm going to tilt my pencil a little bit farther up so I can get in there. So when you hear color pencil artists talking about doing multiple layers, you'll see that 5 layers is going to get you pretty far, but you're still going to be about halfway there. The next one is pressure 4, or a very firm pressure. You can see that I'm still not getting into the tooth of this paper. I'm turning my pencil as I go because I want to keep a really sharp point. When I'm getting a little bit into a firmer pressure, like pressure 5, I'm not going to care about how sharp my pencil is there. And then you have number 5, which is hard as you can, or you'll hear some people calling it burnishing. And I'm going to try to get every single little white dot out of there. I'm going to keep turning my pencil. Now very often whenever you're doing a piece, each layer isn't going to be a higher pressure each time. You might put down just a 0 for one color, then you might bump it up to like a light pressure, and your next, I don't know, 5 layers might stay at that light pressure because you don't want to push down the tooth of this paper really fast. Hopefully my camera is not real shaky at this last one because I'm really pressing hard, and I believe I'm moving my camera, which is attached to my drafting board. I find that I need to go over this again. Now there's an example. I believe I can see a few places that I don't have the white covered. I'm going to go into another technique. You're going to hear the pencil sharpener because I really do need a sharp pencil for this. I'm going to go at about a pressure 2, which is light pressure. I'm going to do little circles on this one. This is actually my preferred method. If I keep my pencil upright, almost a 90-degree angle, then I'm going to be able to get down into the tooth of the paper, but I don't want to fill it up too fast. So this little area, just doing teeny tiny little circles. Now I've probably already done a couple layers as I've been going over and over this one little spot. Now that I've done probably about 5 layers in that pressure 2, I don't have any choice but to start going a little bit harder to get into that tooth. So I'm going to sharpen my pencil again so I keep my nice sharp point. Now I'm going to go probably to a pressure 4, which is much firmer. Still, I'm rotating my pencil because that helps me keep my sharp point as I dull a small area of the pencil. Now as I'm going in these really small circles, it's kind of hard for some people, especially beginners, to understand how many layers they've gotten, because I'm going over the same area over and over as I'm doing this circle. So I've really got several layers in there. This is what I would say it would look like after pressure 4. If I can get close up on here. Now I'm going to sharpen my pencil one more time and get to pressure 5 and see if I can fill in all those little dots. I want to get all those little white dots all the way filled in. Now some people don't want to burnish any of their color pencil drawing, and that's totally up to you. That's just a preference. I like to have mine completely burnished. I've had a lot of people think that it's an oil or acrylic painting whenever I'm done. Now let's see if I can zoom back in and see if we've got all of those dots. I'm going to show you a few different practicings of pressure. The first is a smooth and even. That's very much like when I was showing you the different pressures. This would be about, I would say, the weight of the pencil somewhere between pressure 1 and pressure 2. I'm trying to get it as smooth and a nice even grade all the way across. Now, of course, I would be adding many, many layers doing this at different pressures, building up my pressure. See right there, I've got it just a little bit darker. It's going to be just fine, but I'm trying not to do that. I'm going in larger ovals. You don't have to go in larger ovals. You can go in really small circles, and sometimes you can go in really longer linear direction. It's just, for me, it's a lot harder doing longer linear. Then I'm going to switch colors here, and I'm going to go dark to light. Now I'm not starting off dark. I want to start off with that smooth, even pressure. Still rotating my pencil every now and then. I'll go to about right there. Now again, going dark to light. Now I'm going to start over and I'm going to go just a little bit more pressure, maybe in the 2 to 3 range. And then as I go down my line, I'm picking up my pressure, going back down to 1 until I don't touch that last part of it. And I keep going, doing a little bit harder pressure. As I go down my line, I'm picking up my pressure to be a little bit lighter each time. And of course, you could also do this in reverse. Go the same grade all the way across to start with. Then I'm going to start about right here. I want my really light pressure to be right here. So I'm going to start getting darker. I can also do this in another way. I can go all the way across with this next pressure. Then I can start in a little bit more. And I'm keeping about the same pressure. Probably about a 2, the weight of the pencil, somewhere between 1 and 2 actually. But I'm going all the way across. And the way I'm getting my gradient here from light to dark is just with my layers, not with my pressure. Still, I'm rotating my pencil all around. I'm going to have to sharpen it again here in a minute. Go back in a little bit farther here. I'm going to sharpen my pencil real quick. My pencil sharpener sounds sick. Go back in here, a little bit darker each time. Each time I'm going to leave a little bit and only go so far. Now once you get about this much pigment on the paper, your pressure is really going to have to start increasing because you just can't get down into those grooves. So I'm going to pick up my pressure a little bit. I'm probably at a 4 or 5 at this point. Here I was probably about a 3. Now I'm going to fade one color into another color. I'm going to go and have about the same pressure all the way across. And just because I'm showing you this way doesn't mean there's not other ways to do it. And doesn't mean that those are wrong ways to do it either. Then I'm going to change my color. Then we're going to kiss in the middle. Trying to keep them both about the same pressure. And I'm going to start going. I don't feel like I have an even grade here. Start going over my blue. Still want to keep that sharp pencil. I can't say that enough. Now I'm not using any OMS for this demonstration. That'll be saved for another one. Now we've got our 2 colors mixed here, but I want to continue this blue over here and see if we have 2 different colors depending on what's on bottom and what's on top. Some colors you can really tell the difference, and I'm starting to see the difference. So it really does matter which color you have down first. You are going to get a slight variant of color. Now, of course, that's not going to be enough to satisfy me, so I'm going to go over and do it again. Same exact thing as I did before. Well, I'll go at it this way with red so I can show that direction and that color. Start up the blue here so you can see the combination in the different orders. I can see that the blue side, this side here that I'm doing with the blue on top, is much darker than this side with the two colors. Of course, I would keep doing that until I was satisfied with the burnishing. I'm going to go ahead and layer some more colors here. I'm going to use a yellow and a green, and I'm going to see if I can get a richer yellow green. The reason why I'm doing this is because I can use these two colors and get a much more interesting green, or yellow green I really mean, than if I would just find the color that is actually yellow green. So I'm going to start off with my yellow. I'm going to see if I can make a bigger patch here. Of course, yellow is a much lighter color. I would say I'm using pressure 2 here. Since I'm just doing a demonstration, I'm not starting off with that really, really light, wispy pressure. I'll put my green over the top of it. I kind of would like to go in the opposite direction. It'll help me fill up the tooth a little faster. And my pencil lead is broke. This pencil happens to have double-sided, because I've done that to the pencil. Maybe if you guys want, I will do a little quick tutorial on how I glue two pencils together to get a double-sided pencil. Trying to get down into the tooth of the paper a little bit and still be really light with my pressure. This green, again, I'm doing about pressure 2. See if we can count the layers it'll take to get a really good saturation. I'm just going to go back and forth with my two different colors. Now I can feel I have to be a little bit harder here, so I'm back up into pressure 3 for the yellow. And you can see that this yellow is really kind of I call them blender pencils. There's just certain colors that blend better than others. And I'm not talking about that they work well with others. You'll just find some of the creamier colors, and I believe they're colors that have more white in them usually. They just help your colors that are underneath blend with them. Sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. Go ahead and sharpen both of these real quick. If you wonder what that weird noise is, that's not the pencil sharpener noise. I have a Mr. Clean scrubber, and I poke after I take my pencils out of the pencil sharpener, there's all that debris on them, and I just poke them down into this, and that cleans off the debris. And gets it all over my paper, so I guess I'll show you this. I think this is called an air rocket. It just really shoots air, and instead of blowing on my paper, I really should be using this, because I have been blowing on my paper with my mouth, which always ends up with spit on my paper. And of course you don't want to rub off with your hands, because that's going to smear your pencil. Matter of fact, normally I would not have my hand touching my paper. I would have a piece of glassine. This one's a little bit dirty because I've been working with it on a project. I'd have a piece of glassine like this under my hand. That way the oils from my hand don't get on my paper, because if they get on my paper in areas that I haven't worked yet, or even on the colors that I have worked, it'll deposit that oil, and then when I put the pencil over the top of it, there's possibility that you can actually see a difference in the way the color is going down. You can imagine these are wax pencils, and the oils on your hand, oil and wax just don't mix, so you're going to have a problem there. And then of course on your pieces you're going to be wanting to think about archival issues, and our body oil is not really archival. I'm actually having a harder time making this nice and even with this green now. Got quite a bit of pencil on the paper. This is about layer 3, and I'm finding that I'm losing some tooth. And go back in with my yellow. And again, see how it blended right there? I'm going to go right here where there's this dark spot. You maybe, if it works, yep. You can see how that blends this green a little bit. Also, I'll see if I can find a yellow green and layer a yellow green so you can see that this mixture of the yellow green just gives you a, I don't know, a more interesting yellow green than just a yellow green pencil. Going through my pencils here, you can hear me digging through my drawers. I think that chartreuse would be a pretty good example of a yellow green. This one looks like it's maybe a little bit lighter color. Hopefully you'll be able to see that just those two colors layered on top of each other, just a little bit more interesting. Although I do have to say that this chartreuse pencil is one of my favorite ones to use. The color, I don't know what it is about this color. It's really hard not to increase your pressure. You just want to get all of that on there and you want to do it quickly. You'll be much better off not doing that and taking your time. Now that is a lighter green yellow than the top one. But you can see that just having those two colors, because you can see the yellow in there. I kind of want to get one more layer of yellow on top of this. Let's see what happens when we blend those out with a little bit of OMS. If you don't know what I'm talking about, OMS is odorless mineral spirits. Can't talk today. Get a towel here and dip it in my OMS. I'm gonna drag it across my towel here. I don't want a lot of OMS on this. I really don't know how this is gonna work out. Because normally I would be putting OMS on it at different points. See, and once I have this OMS on there, it's mixing those two colors together. And if I haven't broken down the tooth of the paper too much, I can get several more layers on there. Let's put some OMS on this chartreuse. It's still a beautiful color. And sometimes you might just want this look with this chartreuse. Sometimes you might want this look with the green yellow. I can see I really don't have enough color on this paper. It's still grainy and gritty, but for demonstration purposes, just for seeing that you can get an interesting color mixing colors, I'm going to leave it at that. So that's a little bit about pressure and a little bit about color mixing. Hope you enjoyed. Please like and subscribe.